am a grower in western Pennsylvania, about 20 miles north of Pittsburgh. We farm about 160 acres, a little bit over 160 different varieties of small fruits and vegetables. Around 90 to 95% of what we grow is sold retail, straight to the consumer, within about a 20-mile radius of the farm. We're very fortunate, so we have a very big market where we're at, pretty heavily residential. Everything's creeping into us, so we're fortunate on that part. Today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about indoor cukes. Work with us on the AV. Just be patient because this setup, don't know how it's going to work. Do I just tell somebody when I'm supposed to change it? Or, so you want me to change it? Try to?
Try to.
Okay.
Just not to us and all.
Okay. All right. So, grow bags. The reason why we went to grow bags was because we had greenhouse space that we did bedding plants. Okay? Bedding plant sales went down, vegetable sales went up. You have to constantly fluctuate your market to accommodate what you're going to make the most money on, obviously, to be profitable. So we took out the benches in the greenhouse and decided to try this grow bag system. It took me a little while to perfect. Good friend of ours, his name's Dan Yarnick. He's in Indiana, PA, and he does a very good job at bag culture tomatoes. So I went and toured his place, and from that, I was able to come up with something. I got an X on the floor here for the sweet spot, supposedly. It's supposed to change both of these. There we go. Okay, grow bags. Why? It's not for everybody. Just like I said, the reason why I did it was because marketing times changed. Extremely early and late production. Extremely early, because obviously now it's in a greenhouse. It's in the same greenhouse that we propagate our vegetable plants. Therefore, there's already heat, and you're utilizing that heat not just for the grow bag crop, but also for your transplants, which are extremely valuable for your farming business. Less disease pressure. I didn't do any spraying at all. We'll get into that. Climate controlled. It's insurance. Okay.
Hey Tanner, you're just gonna have to advance that by hand. Sorry.
Do it again. Okay. Okay, what do you need? If you're serious about getting into this, toying with it, this is the slide that you want to take a picture of. This is basically everything that you need to do a very simple grow bag system and get your feet wet doing this. Grow bags, dripper stakes, dripper tubing, greenhouse pipe, sump pump, water tank. This is for a simple system, so this is not for a fully automated, go into it 110% and to make a huge dollar. This is just to get experience. A lot of these sessions tell you how to do it large scale. Well, a lot of us aren't large scale, and we don't, if we go large scale right away and it fails, you lose a lot of money. So these are the things that you need. Worked for me. That's the fertilizer, the types of fertilizer that I use. 50-gallon plastic garbage cans, a scale to weigh the fertilizer, acid, sulfuric acid to adjust the pH of your water, pH tester, EC tester, soilless media, obviously, to fill the bags, and seeds and time. That's very important. You have to have the time to do this. Okay, here we are. This is, and every slide you'll see a date. So you kind of follow. We're in Western Pennsylvania, so we're a little bit later than Eastern PA. So this is extremely early for us. Usually we open this greenhouse, this particular greenhouse. This is our secondary greenhouse. So this is not our very first greenhouse that we open beginning of late or middle of March is usually when we open it up. So this one we always open after the plants get established. So seeded them right into 72 cell trays in the other greenhouse, and then filled the bags with the Pro Mix. There's nothing special about it. It just takes a lot of dirt. Okay, insect control. We have a lot of problems with spider mites. Mainly two-spotted spider mite in our tunnels and high tunnels. So I wanted to make sure I nipped this right away. I hadn't done this previous to this. It worked phenomenally. So if you have a problem with mites, do this. It's worth every penny. It's expensive, but in the long haul. So what I did was I put sachets out for Californicus, and what you're doing is you're actually forming these sachets. They have multiple stages of the insect in the bag, so you're getting about a 4-week time period, so they don't maximize their beneficiary for at least 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes up to 4 weeks. So this is a long-term fix. This is not something like, okay, I have a bunch of mites, I'm going to put these sachets out. Well, you're way too late. See how small the plants are. This is, if you look at the date, this is 2 weeks after I transplanted them into these bags. So that's the timeline. 2 weeks after I put these sachets on. I didn't see any spider mites anywhere. This is preventative. Okay, Swirsky was the next one. So look at the dates. This is when the timeline, whenever you're talking about putting beneficials in, and this goes with everything. So May 18th is whenever I distributed the Swirsky. And it's pretty simple. You just get a container like this and you walk around and let them crawl right onto the leaf over the whole entire, and then when you're all done getting through the tunnel 2 times, then you just set the bottle down in the middle of the tunnel. It's very simple. Works fantastic. Before this, I thought I had spider mites. I had dime-sized clusters on the plants. I thought it was too late, and I contacted the BioBest rep, and he said I'll get these right out to you. They ship out once a week from BioBest, so they only do it on Tuesdays. So if it's a Wednesday and you say, oh, I got to make sure I need something right away. Well, they don't ship till Tuesday, so you won't get it till Tuesday. So you have to think ahead whenever you're ordering these beneficials. Anyways, put these out. In a matter of 2 days, I couldn't find a spider mite anywhere in the tunnel. Okay, fertilizer, pH, CE. Here's another slide that you want to take a picture of if you want to play with this. Optimum pH between 5.8 and 6.0. So how this works is you have a mix tank, okay? Your water needs to be between 5.8 and 6.0. Your base water whenever you're mixing these fertilizers. Optimum EC, which is your salts, between 2.0 and 2.4. What you do is you have a tank, a mix tank, you have the 2 garbage cans. The 1 garbage can gets filled 30 gallons with water, and you mix 18.25 pound calcium nitrate with 6 pound calcium nitrate in that garbage can. Okay, the next garbage can, the second garbage can, you mix with 30 gallons of water, you mix 1 bag of the VegaGrow 31527, which is a 25 pound bag from Grower Supply. which is based in Florida. So you do have to have that fertilizer shipped, but that's the best fertilizer that I have found to do this. It's a hydroponic fertilizer. Fill the 100-gallon mixing tank with water. As you fill it with water, you add the pH to adjust the add the acid to adjust the pH. You figure all this out preliminary ahead of time. So you fill your tank, you measure out, you get a teaspoon and you put acid, and you just figure out what gets your pH. So for instance, our pH is 7.3. So I have to take a big jump down. So my calculation for my mixed tank for 100 gallons is a half a cup of acid. And everybody says, well, where do you get the acid? It's basic sulfuric acid. Go to your auto parts store and say you want to get a box of acid. It's cheap. That's how you adjust the pH. It's very simple. It's not much to it. Just be careful. Don't let anybody else do it but you. You know, it's not something to play games with your employee. It's acid, sulfuric acid. Does anybody have any questions on this particular slide right here? How the system works? Okay, this is my mixed tank. Like I said, this is a very simple system, small scale system. I want to get really, really good at this before I went larger scale with it. One key point here that I figured out the hard way. I was going to automate all of this, but unfortunately the tank is higher than what you're watering, so it's above ground. Because of that, you can't automate it because of gravity. I forgot to take gravity into effect. The greenhouse is slightly sloped downhill, so if I had it automatically turn on and turn off, well, there has a valve that works with the automation of turning the pump on, because otherwise gravity just empties the tank. So in order for this to work perfectly, the tank would have to be in the ground, which would be lower than what you're watering. But I've managed to produce a crop by turning the valve on and off every time. Trellising and pruning. So what we do is we use tomato twine, regular tomato twine you use in the field, tie it to the top of the greenhouse and bring the string down. There's 2 plants in every bag. So you use tomato clips, those regular trellising clips, and clip it on to the string as they grow. Pruning. How do you prune these things? Suckers. You can see the red circles there. Those are the suckers, or vines, or whatever you want to call them. Those are what you want to clip off. If you notice, next to the bottom circle, there's a cucumber growing at the base. You obviously don't want to cut those cucumbers off. That's your fruit. You just want to prune the vine. So you prune up about 4 to 5 feet as the plant grows. Don't wait like I did. Don't do this. They grow extremely fast. They get up over your head, and before you know it, you have an extreme jungle. And when you're so busy outside doing other things, you tend to not prune. So this was in a pinch. I cut a lot of blossoms off, but I knew it had to be done in order to get a successful crop. And I just went in there and pruned everything up so high. So you should be able to, you should keep up with this, but it takes time.
What's your row measurements?
My rope measurements in between the plants?
In between plants and across to the next row.
Oh, that's 4 foot. 4 foot.
By 18 or?
4 foot by 2 foot, but 2 plants per. So it actually comes out to 12-inch in row with 2 plants per bag. Okay, here, this is just varieties. I grew 2 varieties, Lisboa and Corinta. Corinta far surpassed Lisboa in our production. Just my own opinion. Lisboa is they're both Parthenocarpic, which is very important. So they both have both male and female parts, so you don't need pollination. That's important too at this time of the year. It's you don't get any pollination, you have to bring it in. Okay, notice the date. This is May 14th. Got the first large bushel of cucumbers. Okay, here's May 21st. There's a picture of Lisboa and Corinta. Lisboa is a little bit smaller. It's got a little thinner skin, but the weight's not there. They're longer. They're not short and fat. They just didn't seem to produce like the Corinta. You can see them hanging there on the right. Now, as we went, we did do horizontal strings in between the rows that was able to create like a tunnel. Okay, so they can continue to grow. That cluster there on the right is very important, that stage of growth. In order to get there, you have to have more growth up top. I guess you could prune them, but we didn't. Okay, there you go. June 3rd, we're harvesting. June 28th is renovation. That's what they look like when they were done. So by the time we usually have cucumbers, maybe one foreman in the field, we were renovating these. So we had already sold done the entire crop. So if you think of it as a marketing standpoint, you had cucumbers on your table that were your own way before anybody else, and they were way prettier. Okay, costs. Here's the crunching of the numbers. Do you make any money? A little. I found out. It's not bad for the square footage of the greenhouse. It's not bad. I can't really read that from here, but all the numbers are there. I figured in everything I possibly could as far as labor and cost of the fertilizer. So total cost, $2,035. Gross income, approximately $6,120. Net profit of about $4,000. Now, mind you, this is a greenhouse. This is a heated greenhouse, so I did include some costs there, but they get divided up by all the other transplants that are in the greenhouse. At this time of the year, you can't really grow anything in the field that you can make that kind of money on. And that money, that startup money, is very important. Does anybody have any questions on this right here? Yes?
You didn't have any fungicide sprays?
Nothing. No. Didn't have any problem with fungus at all. Nope.
How often do you go through and prune?
How often do I or should I? Every day. Every day until they get to that 4-foot stick, until they get about right to here. You should. But it's very difficult to find every single one of those little things. And before you know it, they're 2 foot long, like that. So you do what you can. Either way, you're going to get production, but to maximize production, it's very important that you do prune them. Yes?
You have somewhat idea of the setup cost in here, your tubing and all the other stuff, is that minor?
I don't have that in here, okay, because I didn't want to put, it gets hairy getting the fixed cost. I call those fixed costs. These are variable. So, no, I don't have them in here, but I will tell you that it's not much. The tank brand new is like $100. You could probably find one on Craigslist for $50. It's just a stock tank. You can use any type of water tank. There's always water tanks around.
Pump pretty expensive?
The pump is not. No, that pump was $57. So this is low scale. Okay, this is not, and it works. It works great. Yes.
Did you try just planting in the ground first?
In the ground?
Yeah.
We did. Yeah, we do in the ground also.
I mean, in the greenhouse.
Oh no, no, we haven't done it because we have fabric and everything and gravel, and it was already set up, you know what I mean, for a transplant operation. Okay, there they are on the table, selling at the farmer's market. Any other questions?
What's the advantage of bags over pots?
Bags over pots.
Nursery containers.
That's a good question. I have never done nursery containers. I've only done bags, but I would say that probably cost. You probably could reuse the nursery containers, but at the same time, you have to worry about disease and stuff, so that cost is much lower. Yes?
Is there any particular size of bag, or is there only one size
Yes.
bag?
You know what? It was on that one slide. I don't know if anybody caught it. It was a 3 gallon. It was 5 gallon. I'm sorry, 5 gallon bag.
5 gallon bag.
It's a 5 gallon bag. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And I have reused these bags. So after that production system, you go in the fall and plant something else in that same exact bag. It has worked. I didn't do it this past year because you can only do so much. You know what I mean? Because at that time of year, it's like we're so busy. You know, I just said I'm not doing it. Yes.
Are you set up on it? You talked about the fertilizer schedule. Do you have a water schedule? You know, you got to be drawing a lot of moisture just out of that 5 gallon bag with all that growth on it.
Yeah, and when the plants are small, everything's good. Everything's, you know, you can go and do your other things. When those plants get to a certain size, it's like, yeah.
Twice a day? Or?
Twice a day. Twice a day. When they get big, 3 times a day. Okay? When they were the absolute biggest size, and that's why you're anxious to shut the system down, 3 times a day, 3 full tanks a day. You know?
Did you do that manually, or do you have an automatic watering system?
Well, like I said, I did do it manually. So it is super time consuming for me. You can do it automatic.
Next year you're going to dig a hole, put her in?
I don't know. I think so. The way the greenhouse is already set up in there, there's no real place I can dig a hole, you know. Really, in order to do it properly, if you really were serious, see, I'm just playing with it, so I'm just making sure that I can make money on it. You know what I mean? Once I have this down, now I know all this, then I can make a decision if I want to dig a hole, put a concrete tank in. I know what I'm doing, and I'll put the money toward it. I know what kind of money I'm going to make out of it, is what it comes down to. Yes?
That renovation thing was a big question. At what point do you decide when the renovation takes place? Because you can keep going a couple more weeks, right?
Yeah, you could. My determination was whenever we were picking 2 or 3 bushel out of the field that I'm not dealing with these, you know, because they just get so big. They consume so much water. But if it wasn't on an automated system, if you had a 1,000 gallon tank, it'd be way easier. You know, you do this every 3 days and you're mixed. Does anybody else do any type of bag culture at all? There you go. Okay. Anything different that you guys do that I don't, that I didn't state here? Anything at all?
Well, I do tomatoes.
You do tomatoes, okay.
That's all.
Yes.
Automatic.
And I've done tomatoes with this same exact system, and it has worked very good. Anybody else? Yes.
My question is about beneficials.
Yes.
We do the same thing you do, only automated, and we use the beneficials, we have the same sort of result.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why, how many weeks in a row did you do it? Because we did it like 6 weeks in a row, or every other, something like, my manager takes care of all that. But why did you change beneficials from one to another?
Because of that early in the season, I figured that the pressure was a lot lower because it's so cold out. The pressure is lower, therefore the Californicus is not as aggressive. Okay, and
Cheaper?
they are cheaper.
Okay.
Yeah, but they give you a longer time period of beneficial activity. You know, control. you know, if you're debating whether you have them or not, you don't see any. The Swirsky are very aggressive, okay? And they'll only stay there unless they have other mites to eat, or they do feed off of pepper pollen. I mean, there are ways that you can keep them around, but you pretty much want to have mites.
You kept them going for weeks or?
I just did 2 applications for this. This is a very short crop, you understand. This is not tomatoes. So cucumbers are much shorter season than tomatoes. If it was tomatoes, I would probably get at least 1 more application, if not 2, if I was keeping it the whole season for sure. Any other questions?
You try doing this at the end of the season, in the winter?
Yes, I have. I have. It's successful. It's a little bit more difficult because the days start getting shorter. Okay, so your growth is actually, it's hard to figure out when you're going to be done with a crop. You know, and the weather dependent, how much heat are you going to have to put in there. And in the fall, you don't have a whole bunch of transplants that you're worried about on the other side of the greenhouse, at least in my circumstance. You know?
Have problems with things, pathogens passing it over?
No. Anybody have any problems with disease in the greenhouse? Doing it this way? Steve, have you ever had any problems in the greenhouse?
Well, I had white mold for the first time on cucumbers this year. I
Oh,
had
geez.
never seen it before, but the theory we had at the Penn State Farm is that we had a white mold storm because it was on everything.
Okay.
I didn't even know it got on cucumbers, but it tore out my first crop. I had to replant at 5 weeks in, right as they were setting the first fruit. We had to replant it.
Okay. Yes.
Nighttime temperature, what's the like nighttime?
Nighttime temperature you want to keep around 60.